That. I guess I wanted to introduce everybody first. My name is Jess Pauley. I work with the COC as a consultant. So I do a lot of the work with HMIS and the data and the not so fun behind the scenes stuff to help you guys get money to be able to do your jobs and serve clients. Stephanie, or not Stephanie, Paige, do you know if there's anybody new this year that wasn't here last year to count?
Yes, so we have Chloe, Bailey, Stephanie, Chelsea.
Okay, so several new staff. So welcome, guys. And so then I assume that you have a couple that have been here in the past two page.
Oh, yes, yes. And then I got two that have appointments right now, so they're not on, but they'll jump on whenever
Sure,
they can.
sure. Sounds good. Okay, great. So the good news for those of you that have done this in the past is we don't have any changes from how we've done it since last year. So that will make things much easier than having to kind of rewrite the script for that. And so what we'll do is we are going to go through our PowerPoint like we've done in the past. I'm going to take myself off of camera to give us some extra bandwidth. And then if you guys have any questions, feel free to either put them in the chat or just go ahead and interrupt and ask your question while we're going through the slides. Sometimes that's easier to kind of discuss that, okay? Um, so on your screen, you'll see the PowerPoint. This is our 2025 point in time count. If you guys, welcome where I did that. Thanks for joining. Housekeeping things. If you need to take a phone call, use the restroom, whatever, that's fine. Please keep yourself on mute during this time. If you've got, if you have something you have to do in the background, you guys are already doing that, so appreciate that. So point in time count or pit count, what is it? So our COC, which a COC basically is just a group of providers across a certain area that kind of have the same goal in mind. So COC stands for Continuum of Care. Illinois Valley is part of that continuum of care, along with several other agencies. And we receive money as a group to help homeless individuals there's 18 counties total that we cover. Okay. So as one of our requirements to keep receiving that money, we're required by HUD, which is one of our funding sources, to conduct a point in time count. So we have to then submit all that data through a certain website to HUD. And then how much money that we receive to serve our homeless individuals is based on, partially based on that number of how many individuals we find that need assistance. Okay. So what do we need you guys to do? Why are we what do we need? First, before the point in time count, we'll be sending you out a form it's called a risk factor form. Paige may have already sent it out to you. And we'll also be sending you some count sheets, survey forms as well, and kind of some pre-work that you can do to make your job easier on the day of the point in time count is to call those agencies that you may be receiving referrals from. You may be counting individuals that they've counted. So sometimes I've had agencies call like the police department or the library or maybe gas stations, just places that you're typically going to count, just to get a hold of them, let them know, hey, this day we're going to be counting. If you see any homeless individuals on that day, please reach out. Keep your eyes open. Just let us know if you see anybody. We also recommend that you contact local hotels because a lot of times, especially in the winter, homeless individuals may be placed in a hotel by a church or by another agency. So just give them a heads up that we'll be talking to you or reaching out. And then you can also look at pit logs from the last years that you've counted. So I believe, Paige, you keep those in, yep, so you can, yeah, so every year we kind of keep a log of where we've counted and where people were. So you can kind of review that for this next year as well. Did you want to say anything about that, Paige? Okay. Okay. And then I'll also send out a blank log form. So if you have any extra places you want to add to that, that would help next year's count as well. So as you're doing kind of these pre-work, calls, pre-pit count calls, we will also have a risk factors form. So this form specifically, we've used it with like hotel operators, maybe be like SSVF staff, people like that who see homeless individuals and help get them into emergency shelter. And what this is asking them, it asks 5 different questions, which I'll pull it up here in a minute to show you guys. Just asking about their experience in dealing with homeless individuals and kind of what are their risk factors that are leading them to be homeless. And also what can we do as homeless staff to help them, gain that housing stability and to gain housing. So this form really helps direct the movement of the COC and where we're focusing on and what things that we're doing to change how our system is to hopefully serve clients better. Okay. So after you've talked to those hotel operators, please send those forms to Paige and Paige will get them over to me. Okay. So in preparation for the count, so this could be maybe a week out, maybe a couple days before, what you're going to do is you're going to make copies of the PIT survey form, which we'll look at in a second. Also make copies of your PIT log form so you know where to count. And then kind of make a plan as to who's going to what area and at what time. So the reasoning behind that is that we don't want, the same area to be counted by 6 different people and everybody count the same people. We want, since our area is so large, I mean, you guys cover what, 4 counties, right, in Illinois Valley alone. So that area is huge. So we want to make sure we're spread out and counting as much of our area as we can. This slide was put on here from our lived experience work group. So that group is a group of individuals who have experience being homeless, and they kind of wanted to direct us to some things that they want to make sure that we're really focusing on this year. Okay. So cultural competency and privacy concerns. Cultural competency can be defined as a set of values, beliefs, attitudes, or practices within a system that enables us to work cross-culturally. So essentially what this is saying is treat people with respect, okay? Make sure that if individuals are in a group of people, maybe ask them, hey, do you want to talk about this privately? Just be really sensitive to people's personal information and their situations. So you guys do a great job of that, but it's always just good to review that. Also, gaining consent is a huge thing. So before you start filling out anybody's survey or even just asking questions, it's very important that we ask, hey, we're doing this survey. Is it okay if I talk to you for a few minutes? And if somebody says no, that's fine. That's their choice. But just make sure that we're asking that question, explain what we're doing, and then give them that option to continue if they'd like to. During the count, safety is the first priority. So your guys' safety is our first priority. Feel free to wear a mask, if that makes you feel more comfortable in regards to, infectious diseases or just, cold and flu season right now. You can also social distance. Please do not go out alone, just for your safety, okay? And also make sure that when you're counting, if you are going out, in the community, walking around or what have you, that you're in groups of at least 2, just for safety reasons. Number 2 is please do not wake up somebody who's sleeping. That can be that can make them feel unsafe. And some people, when they're startled awake, it can be dangerous for you and the individual. So if somebody's sleeping, you can go ahead and fill out as much of the form as you can, but don't wake them up. And number 3, please remember to always treat individuals with dignity and respect. Okay, they may be without homes, but they are very much humans and with feelings, and we should treat them as such. Okay. This is a huge one, which is why I have it in bold. Please write legibly. So these forms, with how we do it right now, you guys fill out the forms, get them to Paige, and Paige sends them to me. That is a lot of scanning and emailing, and if forms are not written on legibly, it's very hard to read, okay? So please make sure that you do that. Also, please write on every single form that you fill out those things at the top, the agency, the county, the region, and your name. I know it may be repetitive, okay, but we do these across 18 counties, and sometimes in the shuffle, papers can get, switched from one stack to the other stack. So it's very important that we have that information on every single form. We do have some check boxes on the form to make it easier to read, easier for you guys to fill out. And then also, when you talk to individuals, bring information on your agency, on the COC, on how they can get assistance and how we can potentially help them get housing, okay? And who to contact to do so. So the point in time survey questions, we'll go over that in just a second on the form. It's just asking some basic information. Where are they staying tonight? How many people are staying together? So kind of what's their family unit, their name, the best way to contact, any contact information, household information, a gender question. This is one that you would check all that apply. So if somebody, is reporting to you multiple genders, please mark that on there. Same thing with race and ethnicity. There may be several boxes marked there. That's completely fine. Disability, domestic violence survivor, veterans, and then chronically homeless. Okay. So those are the questions that we asked. We'll dive into that a little bit deeper in just a minute. Motel hotel vouchers. Okay, so for instance, say if there's a Super 8, right, and you find out that somebody that is homeless is staying at the Super 8, and it's being paid for by the Baptist church. Okay. It's very important that you fill out all of this information about the Baptist church as that sponsor information. Okay. So we would need the name of the church or the agency, their address, the contact name and phone number, and then the towns that that agency serves. So, for instance, if it was a Baptist church, right, I would put the name of the church, maybe their address, maybe the pastor that I spoke to, and then if it's just town they serve, maybe just the town of Gillespie. Okay. The reason for that is because when we complete the data that we send into to HUD, the agency that gives us our funding, we have to put where people are located. We have to put like who they're being served by. And so technically they would be being served by that Baptist church, if that makes sense. So it's very important that in that sponsor information, that's asking who is directly paying for that night in the hotel or that night in the motel. Okay. So the other big question that we have with the point in time count is what does being chronically homeless mean? What is this question on here? Why are you asking me this? What does this even mean? And it does look a little complicated, but we'll talk through that, okay? So in order to be able to mark, yes, this person is chronically homeless, they have to have two different requirements, okay? Number one, they have to be disabled. They have to have a disability. If somebody does not report that they have a disability, skip the chronic homeless question, okay? So they don't even qualify if they don't have a disability. So number two, if they have a disability, so if they mark, yes, I've got a disability. So number two, we're trying to figure out if this individual has been homeless for a total of 12 months. Okay, that's what we're trying to get to. So the two questions that we will ask to get to that is number one, have they slept in any of the locations listed in question one for the last year? So those questions are all like unsheltered or park or what. Well, I'll show you those in a second. So have they been consistently homeless for 12 months in a row? Or question two, have they been homeless a total of 4 different times in the last 3 years that adds up to 12 months? So 12 months is kind of the golden, what we're looking for chronic homeless, but there's two different ways to go about it. So consistently homeless for 12 months, or they could have been homeless at least 4 times or more for a total of 12 months over the last 3 years. Okay. So that's the two things. Number one, must be disabled. And number two, have they been homeless for 12 months in the past 3 years, essentially? Okay. Any questions on that? I know that's always one that's kind of a sticking point. The way that HUD words it to us is kind of difficult. All right. So this year's point in time count will be held on January 22nd. That is a Wednesday. If for some reason there is extremely bad weather, ice, those sort of things, then that point in time count will be the following Wednesday on the 29th. I think that's the 29th. Yes. So it'll be the 22nd with the backup date of the 29th if we can't the 22nd. If we are going to postpone it till the 29th, I will email Paige by 9 o'clock that morning, so you guys will all know. Okay. I don't think right now they're forecasting out that long yet for weather, but we'll let you guys know. So we count for a total of 24 hours is our period of time that we look at, beginning at noon on January 22nd, so 12 o'clock p.m. And then we technically will count until 11:59 a.m. on the 23rd. Okay. What we are looking for is where is that individual sleeping over the nighttime of the 22nd. That's the data we're trying to collect. Okay. So if you talk to somebody at 8 o'clock in the morning on January 23rd, you're actually going to be asking them, hey, where did you sleep last night? Okay. We're focusing on the night of the 22nd. So some things that other agencies have recommended, these are just recommendations. You guys don't have to follow these. Paige will explain how you guys are going to be counting. But I would suggest counting in like 4-hour blocks, potentially, or however you guys do, it's fine. We also need individuals to contact those local churches, the SSVF, gas stations, etc. Somebody can do that over the phone if they would like to. That's sometimes people can do that and kind of help out spread the workload. And then it's also helpful, we talked about that before too, but to make a schedule for who's going to be doing what and where to kind of spread out your resources. and then turning in your forms. So once you've completed all your pit survey forms, give them to Paige. Paige will get them over to me. I am needing them back from her no later than February 10th if possible. So those forms, that'll include your pit survey forms and those risk factor forms that you've got from the hotel operators. All right, and then questions. Any questions before we go over to the actual forms themselves? All right. If you think of something, feel free to put it in the chat and we can circle back to that. I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share and pull up the next form. The first one we're going to look at is that risk factor form that we talked about. My computer's being a little slow. Okay, so this form will be what you do with the hotel or motel operators or anybody who sees homeless individuals. So this actually could be filled out by frontline staff too, if you'd like to, that's fine. We do not necessarily need names and where they're from, any of that information. This is more of like an anonymous survey. So feel free if you would like to fill this out as staff too. If you have information to provide, great, we will take that information. So question number one is on average, how many homeless individuals do you have who entered your facility each month? So if I was a hotel operator, I may say, I had 5 individuals that were homeless that stayed with me stayed at the hotel last month. Okay, great. How many of these do you believe were homeless for the first time? Okay. Of course, this is just, subjective. It's just what they think. We don't keep track of this. It's not necessarily something that's going to be, a hard, fast answer, but it's just what do they think from what they're seeing? Question number 3. For these first-time homeless individuals, what reasons cause them to become homeless? Okay. They can mark more than one. They can mark all of them if they need to, but what are you seeing in your communities is causing people to become homeless, essentially? Question number 4 is a little bit reworded from last year. But basically, this is where they're giving us the information on what can we do to help these individuals become stable. Okay, what's the most impactful thing we can do to help these people gain housing stability? Okay. And then number 5 is where do you refer homeless persons to that need assistance? So hopefully they're able to say, hey, I send them to Illinois Valley, or I send them to CEFS, or I send them, wherever. But where do they send these individuals that are needing assistance? Who do we send them to? Okay. So that's it. It's just 5 questions. If somebody returns this to you and only completes 2 questions, that's fine. Whatever information you get on this, we'll use. Okay. So that is the risk factor form. So that's for any frontline staff, potentially hotel operators. Then the next form we're going to look at is the point in time count form. So this is your survey form that you will be completing for individuals that you find on the night of the 22nd. Okay, pull it up here. And this form looks exactly the same as last year, so it should help everyone be able to complete this out more easily. We did change the dates, of course. So at the top, it's important to fill out as all the areas that you see, okay? So for agency, region, you guys are the Western region. Location, this would be where you found the individual or where you're at the time when you found them. So sometimes people put like, the street of, 4th and whatever, or however. So whatever location is there is fine. County, what county are you in? Your name as the interviewer, and then what time. Please make sure you put AM or PM as well. That helps us. So if somebody reports, I found this so-and-so individual, but they wouldn't give me a name at 10 a.m. and then so-and-so, found them at 2 p.m. or whatever, however that is. So please make sure you put AM and PM. One other thing I will mention too, if somebody doesn't want to report their name or, any of this other information, that's fine. They have that right. So one way that you can help us kind of make sure we're not counting somebody multiple times is to put as much information that you can that would help us identify them. So if somebody's like, I'm not going to report my name, but I'll give you information, fine. Maybe put, individual was wearing a black hoodie or had a purple book bag or was staying by a green tent. Just stuff like that that would help us to be able to, make sure we're not duplicating that count. Okay. All right. So type of location. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody have a question?
Hey,
If you do, yeah, feel free to share if you have a question. No, no worries. But so type of location, this is where did you find the
okay.
individual staying at? Okay. So mark whichever box on the left there that they would be at. If so, for instance, say they're outdoors, okay?
Okie
Mark
dokie.
that, and then if it's like on a
I
park
will get
bench
some money
and
transferred over to today to your savings.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute you, Melinda. If you need off mute, let me know, okay? Um, so say somebody's staying outdoors, and then on that where line, please be as specific as possible. So if it's park bench in Central Park, or if it's, street corner by such and such restaurant, whatever it is, please put that on there again so we can help not duplicate that count. Okay. Um, we talked about the sponsor part right there. So if somebody is staying at a hotel, right, you would click this right here or mark that voucher box, voucher motel, and the sponsor would be that church or the agency or whoever that does that. And then you would go over and fill out the sponsor information there. Okay. If it is somebody that, I guess, Paige, do you guys have hotel funding right now? Okay. I was gonna say sometimes agencies have hotel funding, so then if that's in HMIS, I can pull it directly from there, but you guys don't have that right now. So yeah, go ahead and fill this out for everybody then that would be in these situations. And then after you got that top part done, you would go down to the middle right there. How many people are observed staying together? So this is like what's the family unit, okay? So if somebody, so you may find a group of individuals, two or three individuals that are all single households. They just happen to be in the same location. That's fine. In that case, you would fill out three separate forms. Okay. So if they're not necessarily a family or somebody, classifying themselves as a family, go ahead and fill out separate forms. But, households can look all sorts of ways. So it may be four individuals or five or two or however it looks, that's fine as long as they're, classifying themselves as a household. So you will have to ask that question. You can fill in number of adults, number of children, and then you will go down and fill out one of these boxes for each household member. Okay. Again, if somebody won't give you their name, that's fine. If they will give you initials, that's fine. Whatever we can get's great. Date of birth, if somebody will just give you their birth year, that will also help, or how old they are, that's fine. Best way to contact, so usually that's with a cell phone or an email address, and so then put that there and then that information right there next to it. Gender will be the next section that you see. Again, check all that apply. You may have somebody that's, transgender or non-binary that also, categorizes as man or woman. That's fine. Whatever that they tell you is completely correct to put there. Veteran status, so yes or no. Substance abuse would be yes or no. HIV, AIDS, serious mental health issue. You guys see all those on there. Race and ethnicity again is check all that apply. So, and then the rest of them would be just checking one box per category. Okay. So, household info. So, the person that you're filling it out, typically, person number one on this form will be the head of household or self. Okay. So, that may be, mom, dad, whoever. And then from then, it's everybody else's relationship to that head of household. So, I may have mom on number one, I may have the son on number two, and then dad on number three. However, that works, it's just their relationship to the head of household when you complete their household info. Okay. Disability, yes or no. Chronic homeless. So that remember, to be chronically homeless, they would have to number one, have a disability. So if your disability box is checked no, just put no for chronic homeless. Okay. If they do have a disability, then we look at, have you been homeless for 12 months consistently? So that would be chronic homeless one. Or have you been homeless for a total of 12 months for the past 3 years? That's chronic homeless number three. Are they homeless due to DV? Yes or no? And then is it an adult survivor of DV? Yes or no? So if it's a child on the adult survivor to DV, just go ahead and click no. Okay. And you'll notice that there's two boxes here for person one and person two. And then there's person three and person four at the on the second page or on the back of the page if you print it that way. If the household is bigger than four individuals, just go ahead and include a second form and maybe make a note. Be like rest of household from such and such or whatever. Just some writing at the top so that we know that it's all part of one household. Because we do have some households that are bigger than 4 people. Okay. Are there any questions on this form? Okay. Any questions on anything so far? That's most. Let me make sure. Check my PowerPoint. I believe that is all. Oh, I've got a contact information page. I'll put up real quick.
And if anybody has questions, they can reach out to me as well afterwards. I'll be sending out some information. I've got most everybody's resources. I know Greene County, Sherry, you're really good about, you've got all your resources already in an Excel sheet, so you don't need my help there. But I'll be sending out more in-depth information as well.
Awesome. Awesome. And here's my contact information too. If you guys need it, feel free to reach out to Paige and Paige can get a hold of me too. But if maybe you're counting somebody and you have a question on the night of the 22nd or whatever, that's my cell phone. So feel free to text, call if you need to. But yeah, just make sure you guys are safe. Make sure that you're gathering as much information as we can, but also doing it in a way that is respectful to the individuals because I mean it is hard. We're counting, I mean, they're sleeping outside and it's 20 degrees outside. So understand that they may not be in the best mood. They may not want to talk, and that's fine. But also please make sure to bring them resources to be able to hopefully get into housing at some point to work with your agency or another agency in the area to be able to do that as well. So, but that is all that I have for you, Paige. I will go ahead and get this recording uploaded, and then I'll send you the Zoom link. So if you need that for any other staff members, feel free to share that. If you guys have any questions, reach out and we will get through another point in time count.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good weekend, guys.
See ya.